Kalesh Sasidharan, and talking about standardization of genome-scale metabolic models.
Good morning, everybody. Today I would like to talk about some technical aspect about standardizing stoichiometric models. And I'm not going to show any results today. This talk is intended for discussion, our afterward discussion. So, this is a small intro about how we actually realized the importance of standardizing stoichiometric models. I work on host pathogen systems where we try to understand their infection mechanisms. For this purpose, we download various host and metabolic models, host and pathogen metabolic models, sorry. Then we analyze these individual models using plus balance analysis to get a better understanding about their metabolism. Then we connect them together. For example, we connect this pathogen model into the host model and to do several other flux balance analysis to study about their infection mechanism. But during this connection stage, we realized that it's not that easy to connect metabolic models together because they are significantly different and incompatible. So here are a couple of the major incompatibilities that we faced during this process. The first one is use of different syntaxes and file format. For example, one of our model was in SBML format, the other one was in a spreadsheet format, then the last one was in a document format. More precise, in the SBML format, each chemical names and reactions are given with specific tags and represented as in an XML file. And in the spreadsheet format, all the compound names and reaction details are given as tables in a spreadsheet file. But in the last one, the PDF file format, that was quite tricky because the authors were given all the compound names and reaction as tables in a PDF file, and even the rows were not aligned very well, so we couldn't even copy paste that to a spreadsheet. However, we spent some time and converted all the models into SBML format. Even then, we couldn't actually combine these models together because each of these models used different types of naming conventions for chemicals and reactions. For example, this is an entry for a same compound in 3 different models. For example, this Xenocepacia model, they use EC001 as an ID for water, but the Francisella tularensis and macrophage model use H2 as an ID. So just as an example, if you write a program to combine these models together, combining tularensis and macrophages are quite easy because they use the same ID. But in case of the Xenocepacia and tularensis, it may be also easy because they use same names. But if you want to connect the Xenocepacia with macrophage, it will be really tough because they don't share any common IDs and there is no name in macrophage model, for example. So this just to give an idea that when people actually use different sort of IDs, how difficult it is to combine models together. But when we actually looked into the reactions, things were even worse because there was nothing in common between reactions. By the way, these are the same reactions in 3 different models, and the IDs are different, naming conventions are totally different. There is no way to trace that what these reactions are. Then we realized that by using the information given in each of these models, we cannot actually standardize nor combine these models together. So we actually decided to look into the supplementary information that came along with these models to find more information about these reactions and compounds to get some more general IDs for them. For example, KEGG IDs, CHEBI IDs, RIA IDs, etc. These IDs are widely used and well curated. So if you replace these sort of chemical IDs and reaction IDs with these more standardized IDs, then we can easily connect models together because they share the common identifier, right? However, we realized that even combining with all this supplementary information provided with these models, we couldn't get enough information to get these sort of general IDs. For example, these are some cases. The first line is the ideal case where we have all the necessary information. For example, the chemical name and formula and the KEGG ID, so we can expand, we can collect all the information we want for that. But the second line is in the same model, they have a not that obvious name for a compound. There is no formula, there is no KEGG ID, we don't know what it is. So it became extremely difficult to figure out what this compound is, maybe impossible. And some models give formula, chemical formulas, that's all. But chemical formulas are useful, but it is not always the clear indicator of what exactly this compound is, because multiple compounds can have the same formula. And Then while we are trying to rectify this model, we came across several other inconsistencies and problems. I'm mentioning some of the important ones here. For example, this is in the Franzella tolerances model. They use different IDs but same formulas and same KEGG IDs. These sort of entries are quite confusing in terms of algorithmic curation because we don't know which is right, which is wrong. Then other thing I found on this Xenocepacia model, their SBML model is quite all right, but this is from their spreadsheet version. There are multiple entries for same compound with typos. For example, here a capital K and small k and a capital A and small a. And I have found this capital K version in some reactions and small k version in some other reactions. That's not quite right because they are not two compounds, they are the same compound with a typo. And I think these sort of issues actually cause significant problem for the flux balance analysis. And other one is use of wrong KEGG IDs. For example, here this particular KEGG ID, the C0074, corresponds to C3H5 but not to C3H2. This is the same different chemical formulas and same KEGG IDs, right? That's because I think the algorithm searched the KEGG ID using the name. So if you search using the name, this is the ID you get, but that doesn't represent this chemical formula. So it is a wrong KEGG ID for this entry, for example. And I have found this in like hundreds of entries in different models. So if you actually try to standardize using KEGG IDs, actually you ended up having totally wrong model. So then what we did is we tried to use another ID, Chebi ID. Then we could actually figure out, we could find out specific IDs for each of these chemical formulas. So we think that maybe perhaps combining multiple IDs, maybe making composite IDs or something like that, may be an option to get rid of this problem. However, I have a long list of these sort of inconsistencies and problems about model. I'm not going to go through all this thing here. But the point I want to make is that this sort of inconsistency make combining multiple models very difficult, which is very critical in terms of host pathogen analysis and microbial community work. And I think these sort of inconsistencies exist because there are no standards or guidelines that specifically saying how a metabolic model should be made. For example, what are the syntaxes and file format should be used, and what are the chemical and reaction naming conventions should be used, and what should be the minimum amount of information consistent in a model. For example, should all the reaction have a protein name associated with that, like an enzyme name, and or gene information, example. And are there any methods that actually assure the consistency of the model? For example, something like a compiler or a debugger for a computer program that specifically says the errors and inconsistencies in your program, for example, and how to share the models. I think other speakers are going to specifically stress on each of this point and perhaps suggest some solutions. But the point of my talk is to initiate a discussion in our group and covering these points and perhaps many more, and come up with perhaps a sensible standardization protocol for creating metabolic models. And I would like to thank all these people for their inputs and suggestions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and we seem to be catching up in time, which is great. Questions? In so many industrial aspects of the world, you have an international standards office. Would you suggest that that would be one way, something similar to that, to overcoming this kind of problem? Someone to manage all the different information, to define what needs to be submitted.
Sorry, I couldn't follow, but you were asking like making a standard how the model should be submitted.
Yeah. So who, if anyone, should really sort of standardize all of this? Who would be the best in the best sort of position? Would it be like an external agency of some sort? Or?
I think that is the point we probably should come up with today by our discussion, like how actually we should implement such a standard. Maybe we should, I don't know, perhaps write an opinion paper or contact the journals. I don't know if that's, I think that's the point we should discuss today.
Yeah, very interesting talk. Another aspect to this is sometimes there are ways of doing what you would like to do in the standard, but the tools that read and that perform the flux balance analysis don't use it. right? So that's something I'll go into a little bit later with my presentation, but it's another aspect to this, that it's not only just about the standard. You can have a standard if nobody implements it in tools, then it's no use. So it's a sort of a bit of an extended community that needs to be generated.
Exactly.
I'd agree with you that there are ambiguities that arise because of errors in databases, differences of interpretation of different people about what the correct form of a metabolite should be. But you can't eliminate all of this, because in the end some of the uncertainty comes down to the biological knowledge. And I found this recently in quite small models, but I can find a reaction described, but not in sufficient detail to know the stereospecificity of the product in some cases. In others, like a lot of redox reactions, there's a lack of specificity about what the physiological redox agent is. So there will always be scope for inconsistency and confusion because of ambiguities in the underlying knowledge.
Exactly.
I mean, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody else? Oh no, sorry. Another thing is also, if you look at the process of generating these models now, it comes from the genome, and at some point somebody's deciding whether to include a reaction or not. And one crucial piece of information that's missing in most genome-scale models is what the homology score was acceptable as to actually put the reaction there in the first place, or whether it was just put in for no apparent reason or whatever. So even at that level, right at the first step, there's a problem of whether something is really there or not in the network. And that's something that's not commonly looked into.
Actually, I totally agree with that. I mean, the thing is that there is the biological ambiguity that we don't know about certain information. But these sort of technical problems even make that worse, because we couldn't even get into that. I mean, we are stuck with these sort of problems. So that was the thing. So, yeah.
I think there's also some ambiguity in the fact that the enzymes are not 100% specific. They do catalyze different reactions to some extent. So giving them a specific name already makes the assumption that they are 100% doing that job and nothing else. And often you won't exactly know to what extent that is true.
Yes.
And just to follow up on this, I think this is also true for some of these complex molecules like glycans that happen in the model and are often defined as glycans or lignin and so on. So I think the standardization should include somehow some higher level that maybe encompasses multiple molecules of different categories. Anyway.
I think these are a very important point for our discussion later. That's
okay. Yeah, I think it's a good time now to move on to the next stuff, but thank you very much.